It's been a little while since we've seen an F1 game on the PC Engine. The previous one was F1 Triple Battle, which was released all the way back at the end of 1989. But your wait is over. The PC Engine's premier F1 game series, F1 Circus, has arrived. Nichibutsu, otherwise known as Nihon Busan, released 4 of these games for the PC Engine, and they were released all within a 2-year period. F1 Circus is a top-down racing game, and if you have a dim memory of me playing this game before, that's because 2 years after this release, it got a port to the Famicom. So I've talked about the series before, but this PC Engine version is the original. When you start the game, you've got your choice between World Championship or Constructors. And if you're thinking Constructors must be some kind of mode where you build your own tracks and race on that, well, you're wrong. It's a mode where you just watch the computer race for an F1 season. At least they tell you how long the entire process is expected to take when you select how many laps you want them to do of every track. If you want to drive, what you really have to do is play the World Championship mode. After you enter your driver's name, you're asked for how many years they've been an F1 driver. The manual heading for this calls it Spirit, but I didn't really see a difference between the extreme options of 1 year and 16 years. With that out of the way, you can pick your racing team, and when you start, you only have a choice of 3. If you do well in the season's 16 races, then you'll be offered a position with other teams, and then you do the 16 races again. As you might guess from that, all of the F1 tracks in the 1990 season are represented, though to be honest, when you drive them, you can't really tell. F1 Circus uses a system where your car is always traveling toward the top of the screen, so you don't really get a sensation of the curves and track layout. It's more, oh, you're turning right, you're turning left. The Monaco Grand Prix track might be the most effective here, just because its corners are so weird that you can actually identify them. For every race, you can tune your car up, and that has all of the standard functions you'd expect, though you can't tinker with the engine. By default, you have an automatic gearbox, but for the fine control that will let you win, you'll probably want to change it to a manual one. After that, you can do a free run where you just drive the track to see how your tune-up performs, and then when you're ready, you choose practice. For practice, you drive 3 laps on an empty track, and the best of your last 2 laps are used for your qualifying time. It is possible to fail to qualify, but in that case, you can modify your car and just try again. I actually found the first track, the US Grand Prix, to be one of the more difficult ones to qualify for. And the game doesn't include any kind of free race where you can just pick whatever track you like. So I had to use a cheat code. When you're selecting the team, you can hold down button 2 and then press button 1, and that will let you jump ahead to any track you like. It doesn't do you much good for playing out a season like that, since you'll have 0 points and then start the season at that race, but it was better than nothing. Once you're on the track, well, then there's just other drivers. But you're gonna notice something while you're running your race. The AI is pretty bad. I mean, I'm not doing great here, but they're crashing all over the place. You'll sometimes see yellow flags thrown up at the top of the screen, but that doesn't mean you can't pass. Even if you qualified in 15th place, you've got a decent shot at a podium finish just because the field tends to wipe itself out so badly. If you just brake when you see the turn signs come up and manage to not wreck your car, then you're going to do pretty well. However, if more than 50% of the cars in the race crash, so 9 or more, then you'll get a red flag and the race restarts. All of the cars get restored, and you just have to deal with it. As your car takes damage, you'll lose access to the higher gears. Though on some tracks, there aren't enough straightaways to really take advantage of the top gear, so you're not really losing that much. Just pull into the pit when you get back there, and your team will fully repair your car in a couple of seconds. You don't have to worry about fuel at all. You are solely pitting to take care of car damage. F1 Circus seems to have done pretty well for Nichibutsu. So well that starting in 1991, they became one of the sponsors of the Lotus F1 team. You can see their logo toward the front of the car. Now, F1 Circus may have been well liked at the time of its release, however, I get the impression that it is very overshadowed by the later sequels. Everyone wanted to talk about the later games rather than the original one. My own take on the original F1 Circus is that I'd rather play something else. I just don't get very much of the feeling of an F1 track with its overhead views, and the game plays so fast that you have no time to react once a corner is on screen. You really have to memorize the course, and I don't mean that in the way that an F1 driver learns a course. I think that F1 Circus made me ride my brakes harder than I ever have in a driving game. No matter what car configuration I use, the steering never feels quite right. The movement winds up not being smooth enough to work with the high-speed gameplay. There are better top-down racers and better F1 games out there. F1 Circus just does absolutely nothing for me.